All right, you're live.
Well, hello everyone. Episode number 3. We have our Ryan. You are our first guest. Ryan.day
Yay.
from
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Peninsula?
Peninsula. Yeah, Peninsula,
Yes.
Canada.
Peninsula Cat HR and health and safety consulting firm is joining us today. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on. I know everyone is busy-ish with what's going on right now. You know, with this whole pandemic, you probably get a lot of questions from clients. So we thought, and so do I, and so does Dan. So we were thinking, bring you on here, you'd be able to give us some insights as to what is happening and what can be done to sort of get through this very rough time.
Yeah, for employers, this is basically, it's the unknown, right? None of us saw this coming. I've said this. No one sat around the Christmas table eating dinner going, imagine in 3 months we'll be locked in our house potentially over this pandemic that's going to spread the world. I didn't see it coming. You didn't see it coming. So yeah, a lot of business owners, a lot of unknowns right now. So what we're doing at Peninsula is just basically helping guide them through these muddy waters and trying to get as much information out to them and basically help out with their business and with their employees and what to do, what not to do, and basically just protect their businesses. So there's a lot going on. This stuff is changing every day, every hour, as everyone knows. So I think the biggest thing that most employers are waiting for right now is this 75% wage subsidiary that the government announced this week, but we're still waiting for the bill to be passed. So
Right.
What I would suggest, and I'm sure, Dan, you get questions too, right? I laid someone off last week. Should I bring them back based on this? My suggestion would be just hold off because the bill still hasn't come out yet. We're still waiting to see how it's written. So I would just hold off.
One of the things they were talking about was that it's going to take 6 weeks before you're going to get any money from the subsidy anyway. So even if you have somebody that you laid off and you're thinking of bringing them back, you still have to have the funds to be able to pay the wages for 6 weeks before the government's going to be giving you any money.
Yeah.
So we've gotten a lot of questions about that. But for the most part, like I've used you with some clients and I mean, it's a fantastic service because for smaller businesses, it really becomes their internal HR service, right? Like
exactly.
One of the greatest aspects is that they can call you guys up anytime they have a question relating to anything HR and make sure that they're getting the proper information.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to help them with it as much as possible, but we're in no way HR specialists. So I know one of my clients, she used you guys extensively. Every time there was a hire, you guys do the employee contracts. If there's something to do with firing, you guys help them walk through that. What else does Peninsula do that you can let our audience know?
Yeah, the easiest way is we are your, if you want to call it, outsourced HR. Most small and medium-sized businesses don't have the bandwidth, or it just doesn't make sense for them to hire on a full-time HR person. So, just like you, Dan, people outsource you to take care of their finances within the business and all that. We're the exact same thing on the HR and health and safety side. So we start by drafting contracts of employment, and that's one of the biggest things that business owners don't realize that they should have in place with their employees. That gives you of what side of the fence do you sit on? Do you sit under the Employment Standards Act, the Ministry of Labor minimum, if it comes to severance, or do you fit on the common law side? So I can tell you with what we're seeing right now, there's a lot of business owners that are not doing layoffs properly. They're unfortunately terminating people right now. They're not doing that properly. So there's going to be a lot of court cases, unfortunately, that are going to be coming from this in the next couple of years, hands down, over wrongful dismissal, constructive dismissal, employees saying I wasn't given the proper safe work environment to work within. And a lot of this stuff comes down to policies and procedures. So at Peninsula, what we do is we start with the core of the business, the important one, which is a documentation from the contracts of employment to then writing a policy and procedure manual. A lot of people call that an employee handbook. I strictly call it's the structure of the business. It's the rules that you want your staff to follow by. But if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So your staff really can do whatever they want. So in times like this, health and safety is really a big importance and a focus of what every business owner should have in place is a good detailed health and safety policy manual, along with their employment handbook. And then from there, as you said, our clients have access to us any time of the day. So we're a 24/7, 365 business. We have advisors that pick up the phone, answer questions, concerns, queries. And basically the peace of mind for the business owner is that they're doing things properly. Because in the event that something happens or an employee wants to challenge it, then we step in and cover all legal fees for our clients. So it's really like having a full-time HR person, full-time health and safety advisor, full-time employment lawyer, if you want to call it, within the business, but you're not paying us to sit there all day long. So this is the time where a lot of business owners are realizing, oh, it's the unknown. I didn't know I was supposed to have little things like right now, you should have a detailed policy around how to properly wash your hands. And as crazy as that sounds, you need to have that within the business so that in the event that someone challenges it and says, I wasn't given the proper work environment, around how to wash my hands, the business owner can say, actually, here's the policy that was sent out. So it's a lot of peace of mind, I think, is what I say is what we give our clients.
Now that's fantastic. So we're going to send this out to all of our, well, obviously all of our viewers are going to see it, but we're also going to send it out to all our business owners. Now, let's say they watch this and they go, oh shit, I haven't had any of this stuff. I've laid people off. I've let people go. Maybe I did it wrong. I might be subjective to lawsuits in the future. Is there anything that Peninsula kind of can help them with after the fact?
It's hard, right? It'd be like buying a car without insurance, driving it off the lot, crashing it, and calling the insurance company saying, "You insure my car right now?"
Right.
With that being said, though, yes, we can definitely still look at how they did it and then put the proper things in place to mitigate risk moving forward. Because there are a lot of businesses now that say have 10 staff, maybe laid off 5, but they still have 5 that are working in there. Well, those 5 still should have the proper things in place. So it's definitely something we can still gauge in, what they did, and then hold their hand and moving forward, make sure that they have everything in place properly.
So you said also that employers are not. I'm taking notes here, Ryan. You said that employers are not firing or laying off people properly. Now, in a situation where we're dealing with something that is evolving day to day, what are the safeguards that employers should have to ensure they're doing things properly? I know you said policy and procedures, but in a time when there is no income coming in for an employer to pay an employee, what can they do?
So temporary layoff can be something in place.
Okay.
A lot of it comes down to the documentation. Again, have the conversation with the employee, have a document signed, if it's a temporary layoff, that they are aware that it's just a temporary layoff, and it could be based on, say, 13 weeks, because that's what we're seeing right now. But obviously these things are changing rapidly too. 13 weeks could easily turn into 6 months. But again, a lot of it comes down to the documentation, having the proper conversation with the employees. Because all this stuff, whenever it comes up, if you get a Ministry of Labor claim or if you end up in a human rights tribunal or employment court, all it comes down to, do you have proof? So document everything that you can right now, right? I had a lady called in this week and said, you know what? I have 2 options. I want to lay off my employees part-time, or I want to give a 30% reduction in pay. Well, there is legalities around that. What happens if the employee says, no, I'm not willing to take that 30%? Well, then the alternative could be a temporary layoff. But you can't force someone to take a reduction in their pay right now. Definitely not something that you want to do. So to answer your question, a lot of it just comes down to, it's a one-off sometimes circumstance. Our team looks at everything as a whole and then builds out the best plan for our clients moving forward. And the peace of mind is that whatever we tell them to do, we ensure our advice. So if we say, well, Dan, you guys got to make a left-hand turn. Turns out you should have gone right. Then we'll pay for that because we advised you.
So then if your advice was wrong, your company would cover it. I always, at my background, Ryan, you remember we went to school together 20 years ago. And
20 years ago, when we both had hair. We both had hair.
Well, don't even mention that. You guys are so lucky that you have no hair. I don't want to hear about it.
No, we're not
There's
lucky.
There'll be a man bun on here in a couple of weeks.
Well, that's an in thing apparently with the young people. You're a man in your 40s, so a man bun and in your 40s. And look at the grays. The grays happening here as well. HR, I think, is such a fundamental. Like, I have my background in HR, so I see the value in it. But when it comes to, I'm just going to say, I guess, this whole 75% thing and the government and the 6-week delay. What if they bring on the employees, they still have no income coming in? Like, how would an employer manage that? Because it makes sense in principle, I guess. But the thought behind it is, like, if you're in a business let's say you had a set income coming in, now it's reduced because we're all in lockdown. Like, how do you evaluate who to bring back, who not to bring back, etc. as an employer?
Yeah, well, you know what, Dan, I'll let you answer that one if you want, because I'm sure your clients are asking you the exact same thing. And as the money man within the business.
Well, luckily, so luckily for us, most of our clients, have the ability to be able to pay those 6 weeks worth of wages. Because the first question that they ask is, now we've got, if you're on biweekly, you've got 2, 3, sometimes 4 pay periods that you're going to have to cover before you're going to be able to recoup anything from the government, right? And one of the biggest unknowns is, how's that 75% subsidy going to work, right? Like if you're going to get it, see, I have my own personal opinion about it. If I was an employer, I wouldn't do it if I didn't have any income coming in.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Because for me, the employee's better off going on EI and having complete government support than for me, because the government's still encouraging you to top up the extra 25%. And I have a funny feeling that somewhere in this legislation, that 75% subsidy will become taxable income to the company.
Oh, for sure.
At some point. So for me to bring them back, I wouldn't necessarily do it. However, if I was a business that is still running in some capacity, then what you need to do is look at and find out who your A players are and the people who your business can't really run without. So if I'm running a business and Will and Ryan are my 2 number 1 guys, and if I lost either one of you down the road, my business wouldn't be able to run the same way, then I would make sure that you 2 came back on board. I would be paying you, and I would get the subsidy off of that break. Because you don't want your A players to be sitting at home doing nothing, looking at other employment opportunities during this time and maybe finding a job with someone who's still working. And now all of a sudden recovery happens and you're caught with your pants down, losing 2 of your best employees.
Yeah. In HR, we have what we call the 262 rule. So your first 20% of your employees will be the ones that love to go to work, that are there. They're there for the betterment of the business, right? They're not just there for the paycheck. 60% of your employees will be there basically just for a paycheck. They come and they go. And then the bottom 20%, those are the ones that you really want to worry about. So, Will, to answer your question, I would be looking at more of the 60% and the bottom 20% if you were going to bring people back. But the 20% at the bottom, those are the ones that really don't care about the business. They're really there just for a paycheck. They're the ones that make the problems and cause the issues and start the drama and everything. Those are the ones that proper policies, you kind of build a fence around and you want to push them out. Because what you don't want is that bottom 20% to now influence the middle 60%, because you want your 60% to be influenced by the top 20%. So that's where these policies kind of help in pushing out your bottom 20%, if that makes sense. So just like Dan said, I would be, if you are going to be bringing them back, bring in your top 20%. The employees are there for the betterment of the business.
That's a great point, because we've spoken to 3 clients that I know of right off the top that are looking at this as an opportunity to let go those people who have been sticking around but who don't contribute much to the team. They're a detriment from an emotional standpoint to everybody else, and they're like, this might be my opportunity to let them go. But back to your point, so many of them don't have proper contracts in place, right? And right now, everybody's making emotional decisions. There's ROEs flying here and ROEs flying there. Like everything's just, people are just going insane with what's going on because they're making panic decisions. Instead of being able to talk to somebody like Peninsula Canada to be able to sit back, make a rational decision based on what they actually have to do, instead of just making a decision based on anxiety and fear.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the likes of a lot of these employment lawyers, one that does a radio show every weekend and he does Employment Hour in 30 on Global News. Yeah, you know, right? He loves business owners that don't have the proper documentation in place. It's easy pickings for them, right? But again, for the business owners, it's the unknown. They don't know about this stuff. And for a lot, sadly, they figure it out when they get hit either with a wrongful dismissal case, and then they realize, oh, what's this common law? You know, Will worked for me for 10 years, and as per the Ministry of Labor website, the most I had to pay him in severance was 8 weeks, right? Well, that's if Will had a proper contract. If Will doesn't now and he wants to challenge you, now common law comes into play, which is 3 to 4 weeks per year. So based on 10 years, you could go after your employer for up to 40 weeks. And then typically from then the employees will start fabricating stories because they know that the business owner doesn't have the proper stuff in place. And when it goes to court or the Ministry of Labor, they'll always side with the employee because they'll say to the employer, shame on you. You're supposed to know that you're supposed to have this stuff.
Right. And typically the Ministry of Labor, I know, sets a limit on the amount you can get in terms of money back from people. But what I'm hearing from you there, Ryan, and a little bit from Dan, but I think you're smarter, is that now, if an employer has downtime, now would be the time for them to work with an HR company like Peninsula to develop these policies, because now they have the time, procedures, and to help I mean, they may not be able to safeguard themselves today, but they certainly can safeguard themselves down the road. Right?
Exactly.
Because now everyone always says, I'm too busy. There's no excuse now not to have the right policy in place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And now is the time, because if you let someone go and they turn around and say, due to COVID-19, I was, let go based on this. And again, they're going to use that angle. And I might be throwing a lot out there to your viewers of, my employer didn't have that in place. I'm going to look into this and see how we can go after them. But yeah, health and safety policies right now are on the utmost importance of what you should have in place.
So are you saying that if an employer, then let's say the employer lets someone go through an email or a face-to-face meeting, should that employee then could they consult with a Peninsula, or should they consult with a lawyer? Like, what should they do before they agree to something?
So at Peninsula, we're here for the business owner. That's who we work with. Yeah. Right. We don't do anything with the employees.
Right.
But with that being said, if you work for a business that have a proper contract, has an employee handbook, has the policies and procedures and the rules, as I call it, to me, that kind of helps both the employers and the employees, because now the employee has a mindset of, okay, this guy's got his ducks in a row, right? There's a structure to this business, so it protects both sides, and that's what you want, is a good, viable business at the end of the day, where your first 20% want to come to work and want to make money and hopefully make more money for the business owner, but you want to influence the 60% and the 20% to have hopefully 100% of your staff that love what they're doing.
Right. And then with the 75%, I have notes. Good points here. So it says up to 6 weeks, could be 8, 10, whatever weeks, until the money is released or going to businesses. Do you know if they'll back pay, or, let's say, you decide to bring people back in Monday, April 6th, and, you don't get the payout until May. Will they be back paying? Is there any discussion on that? Do you guys know anything?
From what I know is I believe they'll go back to March 15th. Yeah. But again, we're still waiting because the legislation hasn't been passed.
Right.
Yeah. So they came out, to me, they announced it a little bit too quick. They said we'll pay 75% up to a max of $58,700, I believe. And then there's been crickets since then.
$847 a week.
A week, yeah. But then you have to prove that your business, I believe, lost 30% of profits from the month prior. I believe that's how it was.
From the previous year's same month.
Same, okay.
So if you're looking at March, you have to prove that you're 30% less than March of last year. But they're still coming up with ways, because then people started asking, well, what if I'm a startup and I don't have a comparison from last year? So then they said, we're working on ways to go a month before. Right. So everything's still moving. And, you got to still give a little bit of respect to the government, though, because they're trying to put these plans in place in a very, very quick time frame. I mean, most times when a government goes to pass a bill, it takes 6 to 9 months. Right? Yeah. They're trying to do them in days and weeks. So all these things are changing. And that's why we spend so much time trying to put all of this together, to be able to put these out to clients, to let them follow up with it, because they're worried about their businesses. They don't have time to follow up on all this stuff. Which is why we wanted to bring you on, because, I mean, you've given unbelievable information today. Like, I'm willing to bet. Like, I was amazed that we got renewed for a third episode. Like, that showed that when the renewal came, that we were authorized to do a third episode. I was amazed. But I think this is going to be our most watched episode yet.
I agree. Now, Ryan, is your slogan, because his last name is Day. Ryan saves the day kind of thing to these companies. I'm so lame. But these companies must love what you guys do for them, because it's important.
Yeah, it's funny. My friends always ask, what do you do? Because they don't quite understand it. And I go, you know what I do? I give peace of mind to business owners. I let them sleep at night, put their heads on the pillow, have a good sleep, because they know that they have the right things in place. In the event that they don't, we can come in and we can help them out. So peace of mind is what we give our clients.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, there's tons of clients I have that have never had employee issues, and everything's been on the up and up, right? But those are the smart ones that come on board with us, because now they're just being proactive. The last thing you want is to be reactive, because that's when the white flag comes up. Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to have this. Well, you're supposed to know about this stuff, right?
Yeah. Right. No, that makes perfect sense. That was my final question. Look at that.
Checks it up.
So I got a question for you, Ryan, because you're probably in the same boat that I am then. Will just sits at home and drinks his rum on his back deck because he's got nothing in the world to worry about.
El Dorado.
Yeah. But you're
delicious.
fielding calls from probably a lot of upset people daily, asking questions, fear, anxiety. What are you doing for yourself to be able to mentally overcome all of that? Because from my end, like, it gets draining.
Good question.
That's a great question. Lots of bike rides with my children. I run every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday. And for some reason on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have bad days. But I find just getting out there, get some fresh air, that definitely helps. Because, yeah, it is. It's for everybody, right? It's uncertain times. But for me, the biggest thing is that I think it's not just me going through it. You guys are going through it. Everyone's going through it, right? So just rely on people. And videos like this, I do this all the time. I've had so many virtual beers with my friends in the last 2 weeks.
Isn't that great? Like, you would never think like, I got so tipsy, we'll say. We're being professional here. On the weekend, because you are sitting there with friends, and I hate talking on the phone after hours, but that's all you do now, right?
Yeah.
And it's been actually pretty great.
Yeah. Would be nice if I shouldn't say that, no. But yeah, like, just get outside.
Yeah. So it would be nice if you left it like, well, if you had no kids, guys?
Yeah. I have 3 children, so that's a little tough too. I've had my 4-year-old come in on the odd conference call with me. That's pretty funny. But you know what? I think this is going to be the way of the land moving forward, right? Businesses, when normalcy comes back into play, a lot of them will say, why am I paying $20,000 a month for rent?
Exactly.
When my business was able to have people work from home, and I've worked from home for 16 years. So this is nothing new to me. The only difference is typically I'm sitting across from you guys, right, in person, not doing it on the video. But I think this is going to kind of be like the new norm moving forward for a lot of businesses.
And I think this is it's way more efficient, better for the environment. Like I'm not an environmentalist, but like I'm reading articles about ozone layer repairing itself,
Yeah. Makes you wonder, did the earth do this to clean itself up?
You know what? Exactly. There's so many, weird things out there about it. Okay, what are you going to say, Dan? I see a smile on your face.
No, because the best part is normally when I have meetings with the two of you guys, we're usually drinking a pint or two. And now we can still do that, and we don't have to drive home anywhere.
That's true.
I won't lie. My phone is being held up right now by a can of Old Flame Perry Love Mary IPA.
Well, hey, now that's fantastic, because we were thinking of adding a new segment to this show to review your favorite beverage to help our viewers get through these times.
See, there it is.
You got there? Old Flame. That's a great brewery, by the way.
It is.
Client of mine, amazing brewery, great owners. Jack, Doak, and Sherry are just amazing, amazing people. I gotta flip the camera here. Yeah, amazing brewery. So yeah, that's my go-to.
We went up there for a friend's anniversary, and they had, for everybody that was there that day, they had a food truck in the back doing free gourmet grilled cheese.
Oh, nice.
You went into Flame, you did the brewery, and then you went out back, got your gourmet grilled cheese. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, if you've not been to Port Perry, well, I can't go now during these times, but when these times go back, go check out Old Flame Brewery. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Great brewery. I've been on to beer again. I love Town Brewery. I love Town Brewery. I love beer again. I used to be only a guy that would drink. I drink beer occasionally, but now I have like one a day right now. Just, to start the evening off. It's a great way to relax.
And then you get into your El Dorado.
El Dorado. I've been into rye recently.
You tried the Canadian Club 12-year?
Oh, I've tried that as well.
That's
very good.
I gotta ask you, on your 40th birthday, how many bottles of El Dorado did you get? Because when I was there, I popped in, and when I was there, it looked like there was 40 bottles that you got.
So I got over 100 bottles of not only El Dorado, but like of rums. So it was amazing. So Ryan, I threw my 40th. Now I'm 42 next week. So 2 years ago, I threw a party at Realty Hall, had an open bar. The wife and I made all the food for this party. The party had 125 people at it.
Oh, wow.
I got to cut in. However, Will invites me, but does not tell me that it's like a freaking black tie event. So I'm at the Blue Jays game, home opener with my brother. I show up hammered, wearing jeans and an open shirt, and everybody else in there is wearing tuxedos and suits.
You idiot. The theme was prom. Like, it was on the email, whatever. Prom.
Amazing.
Just like it's high school prom.
Well, that's how Dan went to his prom. So
yeah, that's right. Did you go to your prom?
Yeah, the second year I went to OAC.
Right? Right. You went to prom, right? Prom is you dress up.
I went to prom in grade 10.
Well, that's because you're a handsome guy, man. You probably have it all over you.
Was that back in the day?
Back in the day.
There you go. Perfect.
My DJ Rad days. Remember those?
Right.
On the Wednesday. No.
You never wanted us to do a Facebook Live DJ? Like
no, I tune in the Darryl Massey for that one every day at 5 o'clock.
Darryl's good. Yeah, I think I've seen a few others that I know do it as well. So yeah.
A friend of mine, Dominic, in the Hop House.
Daryl's got sponsors. You notice that?
Oh, yeah,
every day, sponsored by so and so.
Hey, we're working on it. I'm going to send a message out to Old Flame tonight. This episode brought to you by Old Flame Brewery.
Some beer. They should.
They should.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Are we done here,
gents?
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me, boys. I really appreciate it.
Ryan, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
It's pretty busy. It's pretty busy.
I'm swamped. Like I feel like I'm busier. I gardened yesterday. I'm starting to garden now. And I will tell you this right now. The hardest, I'm fat, but the hardest thing is up and down and I'm weeding now. I'm getting the garden beds ready. And I did it for like 4 hours. And my house is a very small lawn. And you would think I ran a marathon. I am so sore today. But it does eat up time. I'm enjoying gardening this year. I'm setting up my back deck tonight. I'm going to be sitting out there doing some barbecuing over the weekend, having some beverages. You just got to enjoy this time.
You got to find a positive in the negative, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So my positive today was talking to you two.
Oh.
After 20 years of knowing you, you are the sweetest man. Thank you.
I have a lot that would argue with that comment.
Well, your wife my wife hates me. That's why during the day, we're separate. She's upstairs, I'm here.
And we married Melissa's.
We did, actually. And they're difficult people. So don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
Well, gents, I appreciate this.
Hey, that was awesome. I think we got some real good information out of this.
Well, we should do this every Friday and just talk beer then. How about that?
But once this bill does get passed, we should have you back on to talk about the ins and outs of it.
I would love to come back on with you cool cats and kittens.
Well, thank you. Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Again, at the bottom of this video, we'll have your contact information and email. So if you have any questions who are employers, they can shoot you an email and ask.
Feel free. Yeah, no questions, no strings attached, no costs. Here to just help during these times.
Perfect.
Anything you can do for each other.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, boys, stay safe. And as I say all the time before I hang up, wash your hands. See ya.
See ya, guys.
Ciao, boys.
See ya.
Drop my phone.